Tonight, Hurricane Idalia carves a path of destruction.
No! Oh. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Catastrophic flooding, life-threatening storm surge, and worries of more to come this hurricane season. Gas prices soar ahead of the long weekend. What's driving them up?
The oil companies are gouging consumers.
And a sticky situation on a highway in Ontario.
I got a call from a bystander that had beehives all over the road.
The race to save millions of bees.
The ones that are still outside of the hives are the angry bees. So, love that for me.
This is The National with Ian Hannamansing.
Idalia is continuing its destructive push through the U.S. tonight, with millions of people still in its path and many more dealing with the stunning aftermath. The strength of the storm undeniable, powerful winds peaking at 200 kilometers an hour. That force, along with rain and dangerous storm surges, causing floods, power outages, and a lot of damage. Idalia first made landfall in Florida as a Category 3 hurricane. Since then, it's moved northeast through Georgia and the Carolinas. But it's in Florida where Chris Reyes begins our coverage now, with the destruction left behind and the risk that remains.
Rest in peace, faraway in.
Cedar Key is an island city off Florida's northwest coast, a bullseye for Hurricane Idalia's Category 3 landfall. Other parts of the state's Grand Bend region battered just as badly.
No! Oh. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
With winds peaking at 200 kilometers an hour, trees toppled, roofs ripped apart, and hundreds of thousands of residents left without power.
It's like hell down there. The wind was blowing this morning at about 80 miles an hour.
Roads and highways also flooded. At one point, a dangerous storm surge neared 5 meters. Emergency crews on boats forced to rescue dozens of people. And when the storm passed, the wreckage revealed. In Tallahassee, the state's capital, even the governor's mansion wasn't spared. The storm uprooting a 100-year-old oak tree.
We haven't had a storm take this path at this level since the 1890s to hit this part of Florida. So this is something that is a really big deal.
From President Joe Biden, a clear message on climate.
I don't think anybody can deny the impact of the climate crisis anymore. Just look around. Historic floods, historic floods, more intense droughts, extreme heat, significant wildfires have caused significant damage.
Idalia weakened a Category 1 on its way to Georgia, North and South Carolina, putting those states on high alert.
The key here is don't be out on the streets if you don't have to be out on the streets. Stay home, sit down somewhere, and just ride this thing out.
Chris, what do we know at this point about the impact of the storm?
Well, Ian, so far 2 weather-related deaths have been reported, both car crashes. Some good news in Tampa, which is further south in that Grand Bend region. They lifted all emergency alerts this afternoon, reporting no significant damages or injuries. But as you know, with these disasters, sometimes the aftermath can be just as challenging as the storm itself. No doubt the cleanup will be costly and time-consuming. FEMA officials are already on their way to assess the damage.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
As Idalia pummels the U.S. on the ground, the scale of the system is on display from the sky. This shot taken by the International Space Station as it crossed the storm's path. And from a different perspective, satellite images captured a series of rapid lightning strikes when Idalia was moving over northwestern Florida. And CBC News climate specialist Darius Mahdavi is tracking Idalia for us tonight. Still a dangerous storm, but take us through the next 24 hours.
We're expecting to see the storm continue to move just over the border between Georgia and South Carolina and move up into North Carolina before making its way back into the Atlantic. So take a look at the path that the storm has taken since it first started down off the coast of Cuba. It really rapidly moved up into Florida and where it made landfall as a Category 3 storm before rapidly losing strength once it hit land as usual. And we're still expecting to see winds as high as 100 kilometers per hour through South Carolina and North Carolina. Rapid, really massive rainfall and storm surge as well. So very much a dangerous situation over the next 24 hours.
And a big part of this story, unusually warm temperatures.
That's exactly right. So we've been seeing very high ocean temperatures throughout the North Atlantic. So take a look at this map of the globe. You can see how high ocean temperatures have been relative to where they usually are this time of year. And off the coast of Florida, where Idalia really picked up strength right before making landfall, you can see that temperatures have been consistently 5 degrees Celsius at least above where they usually are. And it's a similar story off the coast of the Maritime. So if we do see a hurricane make its way up to us here on the East Coast, we would expect to see a similar strengthening reminiscent of Fiona last year. That's around where the temperatures are, and we all remember what happened there.
We sure do. Darius Madavi here in our Vancouver newsroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
The RCMP says it's received credible information that a group of people in up to 50 vehicles is planning to defy wildfire evacuation orders and re-enter Yellowknife while ignoring checkpoints. The Premier had a strong message today for anyone who may try to return before they're allowed.
Go home too. We all want to go home. It's hard being evacuated, but it's really important that people not try to go home until they're called, until it's time, because not only do you put yourself at risk, you're actually putting our first responders at risk.
Getting essential workers back and restoring services is key to allowing the general public back home, but we've learned tonight that process is delayed. The return of workers by road is being paused, effective immediately. High winds are anticipated to push fires this weekend, so it's likely the major route, Highway 1, will close from Friday to Sunday. Ontario's Integrity Commissioner says the province's housing minister should be reprimanded for his role in the development of protected lands around Toronto. And as Ithel Musa shows us, it's adding to the political storm facing the Premier.
Ontario opposition leader Maureen Stiles says the province's housing minister needs to resign.
We need to call it what it is: corruption.
It's a call that's grown louder after the findings of yet another report looking into the province's controversial changes to the protected area around Toronto. Ontario's Integrity Commissioner says Housing Minister Steve Clark violated ethics rules when protected lands were removed for housing development.
At best, what we see here is gross incompetence, but at worst, it's corruption and it's colluding with developers.
The report says Clark failed to properly oversee the process, leading to the private interests of certain developers seeping into the project. It may seem incredible that Minister Clark would have chosen to stick his head in the sand on such an important initiative being undertaken by his ministry, wrote the commissioner, but I believe that was exactly what he did.
This selection exercise.
This comes weeks after Ontario's Auditor General released another scathing report that found a small group of well-connected people heavily influenced the government's process for choosing protected Greenbelt land to develop and stand to gain billions.
There's a lot of transparency that we're getting through these reports, which is great, but ultimately probably not great for the government.
The housing minister's chief of staff has already resigned, and the RCMP are looking into whether there are grounds for a criminal investigation. Premier Doug Ford maintains that developing portions of the Greenbelt will help tackle Ontario's housing crisis.
At the end of the day, it's results. We can talk and talk and talk.
The Premier says his housing minister will keep his job despite the recommendation from the Ethics Commissioner that he be reprimanded. Hours after this latest report, the province announced it was reversing plans to develop 2 parcels of Greenbelt land east of Toronto, after it was revealed those lands slated for housing development had actually been listed for sale. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
As the last big holiday weekend of summer approaches, the pain at the gas pump is hard to avoid, even if it isn't felt equally across the country. According to the website Gas Buddy, average pump prices today are around $1.40 in Alberta. They get higher the further east and west you go. On the East Coast, a liter of gas is more than $1.80. The most expensive is here in BC, where it's been $1.90 or more for most of the summer. With gas taking a bite out of paychecks on both coasts, Renee Filipponi looks at what's behind these soaring prices.
The price at most pumps in Vancouver is more than $2 a liter, and it could get worse.
I mean, they're already too high right now, so going any higher is just a bit ridiculous.
Prices normally spike heading into long weekends as Canadians hit the road.
When people drive, what happens? There's demand for gasoline. So when there's demand for gasoline, when the supply is restrictive, what happens to pricing? It goes up. What we expect.
This analyst says the supply is restricted because of refinery issues. A fire in Louisiana took a refinery offline earlier this week. And then there is Hurricane Idalia, which has led to the stockpiling of gas.
When you have hurricane season, refineries actually had to shut down for several weeks post-hurricane because they had damages.
It's basically companies doing
But not everyone is buying it.
The oil companies are gouging consumers. They got to fill up
Economist
that tank.
Mark Lee says Canadians are struggling to make ends meet, and the government needs to step in.
So there's no reason why you couldn't have a more regulated price system that allows companies to make reasonable profits on the investments that they've made, but that gets rid of this kind of gouging behavior.
Prices in Canada are higher than the U.S. due to various taxes, including the carbon tax. There are calls across the country for Ottawa to pause that tax to deal with high prices.
Birria grilled cheese for Asia.
Kelly McKenzie is selling sandwiches to the crowds at the Pacific National Exhibition. He runs 6 food trucks. Gas costs him nearly $1,200 a week right now.
We've had to raise our prices, which is hard because we want to offer a product that's good for families. Birria grilled cheese here.
Another example of how high gas prices can raise the cost of living far from the pumps. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Quebec's transport minister is apologizing for breaking one of the rules of the road.
We are politicians, human beings. We are not perfect, and obviously I was not when I wasn't wearing my safety belts.
In images published by the Journal de Montreal, the minister is seen not wearing her seatbelt on several occasions, including at the wheel. The photos were taken over a 3-year span and posted to her social media accounts. There is a developing story in the Central African country of Gabon tonight after the military claimed it seized power. This just days after a disputed presidential election. As Margaret Evans explains, this is the latest in a series of hostile takeovers.
It is by now a well-worn script. This, the 8th military coup in Western and Central Africa over the last 3 years. Gabonese military officers announcing their takeover on state television.
Toutes les institutions de la République.
Institutions were dissolved, they said, borders closed, and President Ali Bongo under house arrest, from where he issued a plea to his friends for help.
I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you.
Many people did make noise out on the streets, but in celebration. Thanks to the army, said this man. We're liberated, shouted another. Bongo's reign is over. Part of a family dynasty in power for over 50 years, Bongo was just declared the winner of elections analysts say many people suspect were rigged.
And they welcomed the coup. That's, if the election had been credible, perhaps that reaction would have been different.
Gabon is rich in oil and minerals, but that wealth hasn't trickled down to the hands of ordinary people. Gabon's former colonizer, France, has condemned the coup. France reaffirms its wish for the election results once known to be respected, says this government spokesman. Anti-French sentiment has grown, not just in Gabon, but in other former French colonies where military juntas now rule. One of the coup leaders, Gabon's head of the Presidential Guard, General Nguema, is expected to play a key role in the coming days, feted here by soldiers calling him president. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Russia is promising further retaliation tonight after a swarm of widespread drone strikes. Briar Stewart shows us the impact of what's believed to be Ukraine's most extensive aerial attack yet.
This appears to be the moment a Russian airfield more than 600 kilometers from Ukraine's border came under attack by drones. There are 2 planes on fire, says this man. They say it was a drone attack. Russia says 4 of these military transport planes were destroyed at the Pskov airfield. And at least 5 other regions across the country were hit by drones in one of the broadest strikes against Russia yet. The actions of the Ukrainian regime will not go unpunished, says the spokesperson for Russia's foreign ministry. Ukrainian officials have not directly claimed responsibility for the drone attacks, but in recent weeks there has been an increase in them.
Ukraine has successfully demonstrated that it has the capability to hit high-value targets inside Russia, deep inside Russia.
Moscow has been hit a number of times, causing minor damage. This unverified video was posted last Friday when Russia said it had stopped 42 drones from reaching their targets in Crimea.
When you're sending that sort of number, you have a good chance of overwhelming the defensive systems.
This technology journalist says Ukraine has developed drones that can hit targets as far as 1,500 kilometers away, posing a new threat to Russia.
If they want to defend Moscow and other areas, which they will, they're going to have to start moving air defenses from the front line out there because they've only got so much kit. So it will certainly make life more complicated for the Russians.
But it's nowhere near what people in Ukraine are living through. 2 people were killed in Kyiv when it was targeted last night by 20 missiles and drones. Officials say air defenses shot them down, but debris fell on several buildings. There are no military objects here, nothing, just an apartment block, says this man. It was a terrifying night for residents who lived through what was the largest attack on Ukraine's capital in months. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Another concerning moment for the U.S. Senate Republican leader. For the second time in just over a month, Mitch McConnell appeared to freeze during a news conference.
What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
McConnell's team says he was lightheaded for a moment and will be consulting a doctor before his next event. A similar incident happened in July. He froze then for about 20 seconds. Back then, the 81-year-old dismissed questions about a concussion and said he was fine. Back in this country, some asylum seekers are facing increasingly difficult living conditions, and tonight community groups are sounding the alarm. Thomas Dagla has more on the factors fueling this growing crisis.
There are about, I believe, 20 or 22 men here.
For Canadian community groups, it's come to this. Cots and mattresses laid out on the floor, even shipping containers, soon to be transformed into makeshift homes so asylum seekers can have a place to sleep.
We are trying to assist the agencies, the shelters, the government, because they were not ready for this.
Just this one church is housing 46 newcomers, and there are more arriving all the time. So the church has outfitted this bus to house 6 people overnight while the temperature allows it before the winter arrives. But as you can see, it's really only a temporary solution.
In Toronto this summer, some newcomers had to sleep in the streets, with advocates warning more forced migration globally, and Canada's housing crisis are combining to squeeze all groups providing emergency shelter.
It's not a Toronto issue, it's a Canada-wide issue. It's impacting every city.
Calgary's Centre for Newcomers warns Ottawa didn't properly plan before opening the door to more migrants. This 55-year-old man landed in July from Kenya. We agreed to conceal his identity as he claims asylum here.
How does what you heard about Canada and what you have, the experience you've gone through for the past month, how do the two compare?
I would say Canada is a great town. It's a very nice country. At the back of my mind,
had not foreseen coming out here and probably staying for that long without, probably getting a job or housing or something like that.
70,000 asylum claimants have come so far this year, and the government is pledging an extra $200 million. Charities like Matthew House Ottawa say they can handle the influx, but need help.
Let's help them increase their capacity, and we can deal with refugee claimants arriving in the country without any problems at all.
Advocates fear stopgap measures won't hold up when temperatures drop. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Vaughan, Ontario.
Even for police, this may have been an unprecedented call. Millions of bees falling off the back of a truck in Ontario. The stinging emergency and the keepers who came to the rescue.
We got stung like 60 times each.
Montreal decides not to reinstall a statue of Canada's first Prime Minister, but the debate about it remains.
It would have been the right thing to do to put it back. Some people would break it down.
And a unique event caught on video.
It's called St. Elmo's Fire because St. Elmo was the patron saint of sailors.
We're back in 2. A judge in Florida is allowing a class action lawsuit against Burger King to proceed, rejecting the company's bid to get it dismissed. Customers allege the images of the Whopper on the chain's menu boards exaggerate the size of the burger's patty. Lawyers for the company say that claim is false. Well, an Ontario city has learned the hard way how to catch 5 million bees. That's how many were let loose early this morning when a load of hives fell off a truck. Police warned people to avoid the area. Some did get stung, including local beekeepers who came to help. Ali Chiasson shows us how they managed this unusual roundup.
That's the sound of a sticky situation. Millions of bees spilled from their hives after the truck they were being transported on took a hard turn.
We're moving them down to our farm in Grimsby, and I got a call from a bystander that I had beehives all over the road, and I just stepped on the gas even harder and got to my boys, right?
5 million of his bees swarmed the entire block, and so did local beekeepers trying to help.
I saw it on the news, so I decided to help. I got my bee suit always in my truck and tools, whatever I need. So I stopped in and give a hand.
It was like walking through a war zone. I noticed a lot of dead bees on the road.
As for the rest,
the bees were quite agitated. We got stung like 60 times each, so.
The police warned people in the area to keep their windows closed as they called for beekeeper backup.
Yeah, so it was a cloud of bees and a bunch of beekeepers, basically.
So apparently a cloud of bees is a real thing. That's why I need to put one of these on. Let's do this. So the beekeeper's strategy is to keep the hives here on this truck. And the idea is these worker bees will return to their hives or their homes at night.
Since they are a superorganism, they require that equipment that we provide. So we are using that equipment to kind of scoop them up. And yeah, sometimes by hand.
The person driving the truck has been charged with towing an insecure load. After nightfall, when the remaining bees return, the bee's owner will help his colonies rebuild.
See if we need to requeen, but hopefully these hives will make a strong recovery and queen themselves. As a beekeeper myself, it's really heartwarming to see the local industry come out and show up like this.
Support that may have taken the sting out of his ordeal. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Burlington.
Ontario is changing the rules on who can appear in gambling ads.
With every tap, a new legend is born.
But will it be enough? We revisit how online betting has changed the way we watch the game.
Way too many commercials out there for betting. That's why we're addicted now.
And the iconic residence Prime Minister's called home.
It might have been more practical to tear it all down and begin again.
We look back at 24 Sussex before it fell into disrepair. The National takes you deeper into the story shaping our world. Next.
Trying to practice here, Wayne.
You need it.
As you've likely heard, by next February, athletes and some celebrities will no longer be able to appear in ads for online sports betting in Ontario. Now, back in the spring, just as the Toronto Maple Leafs scored their first playoff series win in nearly 2 decades, Jamie Strachan examined the surge in sports betting in Ontario and the concerns over its long-term impact.
In Toronto, a Maple Leafs playoff game draws a frenzied crowd. Thousands who couldn't get inside watch outside.
But it's not just this game, there's the game inside the game. What bet am I making? Who am I betting on? Who's gonna score next?
Walking through the crowd, it was all too easy to find fans making bets.
So what do you have tonight?
I got N.W.T first goal, baby. $25, $6.50 payout. It's gonna happen.
Hopefully I can make a few bucks tonight on my little betting app here.
The phone is the new casino. Thousands of betting options available through dozens of now legal betting apps.
There you go. N.W.T, $25 first goal.
So what bets do you have tonight?
So tonight I have Leafs and 4, Nylander to score, Matthews to score, Marner to get some points, and Riley to get some points.
And O'Reilly to get an assist for sure.
A lot of people have said it's out of control. What do you make of what's going on right now?
It's actually, we've seen greater control.
Paul Burns is the president of the Canadian Gaming Association.
The catch is being able to educate, inform players to the tools that are available so they can set their own limits on their sites. They can set how much time they want, how much money they wish to spend or to lose in any given time period. And there's also the ability that players are being monitored for their behavior, and the operators are required to monitor risk to offer greater player protection. We put all those tools in place.
Here we go! Here we go!
Since federal legislation passed in 2021 loosened up the rules around sports betting, Ontario has gone full throttle.
It's totally up to you. It's your bet.
A year ago, it became the only province to regulate dozens of foreign and Canadian companies, allowing them to legally operate and advertise in Ontario. The province has collected $280 million of the billions of dollars Ontarians have wagered on those sites in the last year.
Do you find yourself betting more this year than you have in the past?
Yeah, of course. Every game's more exciting.
All the commercials.
Yeah.
Way too many commercials out there for betting. That's why we're addicted now.
Amongst all your buddies, has betting become like a big part of watching sports?
Yeah,
100%.
100%. All the buddies, we all talk about it. We send pictures in our group chat of who's betting on what. Go Leafs, go, baby! Yeah, gambling's a big thing now. Yeah.
The next ad we're going to see is probably going to be a gambling ad. What do you think about that?
I think that's getting a lot more people into gambling, which I don't know if it is the best thing, but
People have described it as, the Wild West, and, we see the ads everywhere. How would you describe what we're seeing in Canada right now?
I would describe it similarly to that. It does kind of feel like the Wild West. I mean, it's a little bit, it's very different watching a sporting event nowadays relative to where it was even a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's a pop.
Rob Pizzola has been gambling on sports for years. He actually does it for a living and wins much more than he loses. Like all Canadians, he has been inundated by the endless stream of ads, often fronted by big-name stars, touting the rush of a big win, aimed at an audience mostly unfamiliar with betting on sports.
How do you decide whether you're going to bet or not?
It's honestly luck of the draw, especially with hockey, Basically, it's just kind of see who's playing really well and then hopefully go with that player.
What's driving you to bet?
I love Nylander, love the Leafs, just really excited to get in the game.
What made you decide on that bet?
I just had a good feeling. I woke up this morning, I was like, N.W.T is going to score the first goal. It's going to happen.
Centering pass for Achari, who was unable to control it, and
it didn't. Achari did not score the first goal. In fact, he didn't score any goals in the game.
What people don't want to hear is that sports betting is more of a math problem than it is knowing sports. And if people heard that, maybe it would affect their ability to bet or they wouldn't be turned off by it. But that is the truth. It's more of a math problem than actually knowing and understanding sports.
It's too early to know what the long-term impact of Ontario's affectionate embrace of gambling will be, but there may be early warning signs. Windsor's Hotel de Grace is a good place to start. The hospital is home to the province's only residential facility dedicated entirely to problem gambling.
What I'm seeing is an increase in young men coming in with gambling problems related to sports, as well as
longtime counselor Diana Gabriel says a crisis is quickly emerging with what she calls the normalization of sports gambling.
When a society is completely doused with all of the advertising, the pushing, the superhero sports figures promoting, where it becomes normalized, in 5 years we're going to have a whole new generation of people who have been acclimated, who have been enticed to partake in this activity without being justly educated about the warning signs of it.
Everything gets rationalized and you just escalate.
In Ottawa, Noah Weinberg says the Windsor program saved his life. It's been 5 years since he left there, finally breaking an addiction that cost him at least $1 million and consumed him for decades. As someone in recovery, I mean, how hard has this last year been with this deluge of advertising, and it's, even if you don't like sports, you can't escape it?
I'd say this last year and a half of recovery is as hard, if not harder, than when I came out of the program in Windsor. It's just, there's so much, you're banged over the head with it.
Do you find it hard to watch a game though with all the advertising?
I find it disgusting. I don't find it hard because I'm doing really well, but I can't imagine what somebody's coming out of that program tomorrow is going to feel. It's going to be next to impossible.
What's your message to someone who says, you know what, listen, I'm a year into recovery, I just want to sit down and watch the game, and this has been very triggering for me?
It's difficult. Listen, those are real problems and real difficult situations for those people that have them. And that is a difficult change. There has been a lot of gambling advertising more in sports now. That's something that we know is a challenge for a small percentage of the population, and it's real for them. And I say that between broadcasters, leagues, and the industry, we want to make sure our advertising is appropriate.
However you decide to play safe at Bet360.
The gaming industry has produced ads promoting responsible betting.
One-time scores!
But when we went looking for those ads in 5 random playoff games, we didn't see any. We did see, though, an average of 7 commercials per 3 periods, promoting betting apps.
I'm more worried about the kids.
Weinberg says a recent night at a bar watching a game made him realize how quickly sports gambling has changed.
I've been in sports bars all my life, and that used to just be sports talk. You'd talk about the play, or you'd talk about what just happened, or what could they do to change. That wasn't the talk in the bar the other night. The talk in the bar the other night was, how much are you going to put on this? How much are you going to put on that? Can they come back? And will there be this many goals in this period?
Lots of sporting events.
Pizzola worries about what comes next. He has seen the underside, those gripped by gambling addictions, long before Wayne Gretzky and Connor McDavid made gambling a familiar part of the sports landscape.
I still don't know that Ontario's fully figured out exactly the effect that this is going to have on the average person. The lack of changes we've seen over the course of the last year, especially with how sportsbooks can advertise, I'm not sure that they're grasping the full picture of it, and this is going to create a lot of problem gaming.
Do you have any buddies who have kind of had some trouble with the gambling this year?
Quite a few, but they'll make it back. Gambling, as long as you don't quit, you're always bound to make money. That's how it works. That's how it works.
I don't think that's the strategy.
So, Jamie, do you think these new regulations are going to have an impact on betting companies?
Ian, I really don't. I think beyond the Wayne Gretzkys and Connor McDavids of the world doing these ads, these betting companies still have so many ways to access willing bettors. They can still advertise using other forms. They have the ads on the boards. They have the ads on sweaters. So I think companies looking to access people who want to make bets on sports will still exist, and I don't think these regulations will really impact these companies.
And for those of us who watch sports on TV, will that experience be different now?
No, I think betting and watching sports on TV are really something that will coexist, in a really strong way going forward. Betting and sports is really something that goes hand in hand right now. You have the sports, the leagues with these partnerships with these betting companies, and you have teams in partnerships with these betting companies. So I think the way that we watch sports has fundamentally changed.
Yeah, sure has. Jamie Strachan in Toronto, thank you. In Ottawa, a landmark that once housed the Prime Minister is falling apart.
There's asbestos in the walls, and if there's a fire, there are no sprinklers.
We look back at its better days next. The end may be near for 24 Sussex Drive. After decades of neglect and runaway repair costs, CBC News has learned that the federal agencies in charge of the Prime Minister's official residence are exploring new sites for a new build, something larger, safer, and more accessible. But the stone mansion wasn't always rat-infested and run down. Tonight we take you into the CBC News archives for a look at what the house once was.
On the threshold of 59, we go calling and reach the threshold of this house. The address is 24 Sussex Street, Ottawa. Perched primly on 5 meticulous acres, 70 feet above the broad waters of the Ottawa.
24 Sussex has been home to Canada's Prime Minister since 1951, when Louis Saint Laurent reluctantly moved in under the condition he could still pay rent, a practice that continued until 1971.
Do you live here, Mr. Diefenbaker, rent-free?
Well, there's provision in the statute whereby a very considerable sum has to be paid each month for the use of the premises. So in reality, there is an actual rental.
Since then, virtually every Prime Minister has lived in the house, but it wasn't originally built with world leaders in mind.
24 Sussex was built by a lumber baron who enjoyed sitting in his living room watching the logs float by on the Rideau Canal.
It was remodeled from an old house that was here, and they kept the stone walls of the outside and redid the inside. And it might have been more practical to tear it all down and begin again.
Sound familiar? Throughout the years, the house welcomed the political elite and foreign dignitaries, from JFK to the Queen.
Do you find that it's a terrifying prospect, the entertaining of the great and the near
Well,
great? It would terrify me, and I think most things.
Actually, one of our first guests was the Queen, and they were such pleasant guests, and everything was so easy that since then nothing's been difficult.
And from government to government, many of its residents tried to leave their mark on the mansion, swapping decor and artwork to make the temporary accommodation feel more like home.
When I look around this living room and what you did with it, I can't help thinking about that $15,000 budget that Joe gave you. I could imagine.
Stingy. Well, he did that at Stornoway too, so we were used to it.
Always careful of the optics of spending too much money.
The National with Knowlton Nash.
Good evening. Opposition MPs are calling it an orgy of opulence and selfish indulgence.
It's not the first time that Prime Minister Mulroney has been under fire for allegedly extravagant spending at his official residence. In November '84, there were charges that taxpayers were paying for lavish renovations that included a hot tub at 24 Sussex Drive.
I can assure you that I have not charged to the taxpayers of Canada any such items. Where there were personal wishes, they were assumed by me. And any suggestion to the contrary is absolutely false.
And the problems didn't stop at the cost of renovation. In 1995, there was a major security breach.
44 minutes early Sunday morning, an armed man roamed the grounds of 24 Sussex Drive. He moved inside the house, up the stairs, to within steps of the Prime Minister and his wife. And it was then, according to police, he attempted murder.
Alain Chrétien was the one who confronted the intruder and raised the alarm.
And I think that I'm lucky that she was there.
Shocking, but also not the first time an uninvited guest made their way into the Prime Minister's house.
Pierre had a woman hanging out in his closet, waiting for him when he came home from work. And she was just there. This was just after Trudeau-mania in the 69. She was just a fan. She was ever hopeful, I guess.
By 2008, 24 Sussex was in rough shape and hadn't had any major renovations in 50 years.
On the 24 Sussex to-do list of Auditor General Sheila Fraser, fix the wiring. It's way too old. And the plumbing, and the heating, and the air conditioning. There's asbestos in the walls, and if there's a fire, there are no sprinklers.
Knowing all these things that are wrong with this, what in your lingo would you call this place?
I would say very grand, classic home in Ottawa's finest neighborhood.
It's a fixer-upper.
And in need of a little bit of repair.
Ottawa has said it could make a decision about 24 Sussex by the fall, but a new minister was put in charge of the file last month, and that could delay a final decision. Next, a rare weather event caught on video.
Well, St. Elmo's fire is a low-grade form of lightning.
The electrifying spectacle in our moment. Montreal says it will not reinstall a statue of John A. Macdonald. Protesters pulled it down back in 2020. Marina von Stackelberg now with the decision, the reaction, and why the city is not alone in grappling with this issue.
A statue of John A. Macdonald toppled by protesters in a Montreal park. Now, after 3 years of consultations, the city has decided the statue of Canada's first Prime Minister will not be placed back on its pedestal.
For some people, it would have been the right thing to do to put it back. Some people would have wanted to, that would break it down.
The statue will be restored and displayed somewhere else. In its place, Montreal will commission new artwork and a plaque to acknowledge the controversy.
This is really a sensitive matter. Some people are scared that it might be erased, but for us, what we think is that Macdonald will still remain with or without a statue.
Notre gouvernement, elle est très claire, faut pas réécrire l'histoire, il faut
Quebec's Minister of Culture says Montreal's decision rewrites history, but others say it corrects it.
I believe that the statue being placed up without any context for so long has erased so much of our history, of our communities, and the damages he's done.
John A. Macdonald was behind many of Canada's racist policies toward Indigenous people, including the residential school system. Statues of him have been targeted across the country, some vandalized, others completely torn down. In several cases, municipalities decided to remove them proactively, but many jurisdictions are still deciding what to do with the statues and the sites.
Removing a statue of one man who's long dead and putting a few plaques and artwork, it's a nice gesture. We have to look at how and why and what curriculum resources we have in our schools.
Canada has plenty of streets, parks, and buildings named after the first Prime Minister. Many of those are up for a name change too, like this parkway. It has the new name Kichizibi-Mikan, Algonquin for Great River Road. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
This is tonight's blue supermoon as it made its way across the skies before casting its glow on Canada. Blue because it's the second full moon in a month, and super because this is the closest it gets to Earth. That's why it will appear larger and brighter. Weather experts say it could raise tides higher along Florida's coast and make flooding worse as Hurricane Idalia smashes through. And here's another natural phenomenon for you. This striking footage was captured by Air Force pilots in Florida as the hurricane was approaching. It might look like lightning, but it's not. It's St. Elmo's fire. And tonight, that rare electric event is our moment.
The St. Elmo's fire is a low-grade form of lightning. It's when the air becomes electrically charged, and it's looking to get rid of that charge by connecting with the ground. So what we're seeing in the video is connecting with things that are sticking up from the ground, tops of buildings, towers, antennas, things like that. It's called St. Elmo's fire because St. Elmo was the patron saint of sailors. And it was from the days of sail with tall ships that sailors saw the rigging and the mast of their ships glowing blue when they were close to thunderstorms, and they thought that it was fire from St. Elmo. They actually thought it was a good omen. But in fact, It's an electrical discharge from the atmosphere that is harmless in itself, but it can be a precursor for lightning. So if you are out in a storm and it's approaching and you start to feel a tingle in your skin or your hair starts to stand up or things like that, that's the beginning of St. Elmo's fire. Get out of the area because a lightning strike could be on its way. Nature never ceases to impress. It doesn't matter what the phenomenon is. Whether it's lightning or St. Elmo's fire, it just makes you stop and go, wow.
That is the first time I've seen video of St. Elmo's fire. It takes me back to being a kid and reading about the phenomenon and how it was seen on masts of sailing ships, as Bob was talking about. Also makes me think about that movie with Rob Lowe, but that's really barely connected to all of this. That is The National for August 30th. I'll see you tomorrow night.